Jaime Munguia stops John Ryder in the 9th round, knocks him down 4 times, pretty much handled him. And I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are. Was it an excellent performance from Munguia, or do you think Ryder just mailed this one in? It looked to be a lackluster performance from Ryder, at least compared to the performance he put on versus Canelo. I like Jaime Munguia. I have liked him from the beginning, but his resume certainly lacks impressive wins. And this one over John Ryder on the surface could look impressive, unless you're of the belief that Ryder kind of phoned this one in. I didn't think he was the best version we've ever seen of John Ryder. Body didn't look very impressive, to say the least. Looked a little soft compared to the way he normally looks. What'd you think?
I don't think a guy like Ryder would ever mail anything in. I think that what I said in the preview last week, for the people that did watch last week, I previewed this fight. And I said I called Ryder a tough guy, a journeyman. And when you're a journeyman, what does that mean? It means that you've been around. And what does that mean? What does that, what does that encapsulate with that? That you've got miles on the odometer. You're a journeyman. You've been around. You've been in with a lot of guys, a lot of good guys. He had just gone the distance with Canelo. That was a feather in his cap, all that. But when you're a journeyman and you've been around, he's 35 years old, I believe, and you've been around, which I alluded to for a reason, you start to get shop worn. Munguia, I think he had a better performance than Canelo had. I'm taking nothing away from Ryder with the Canelo, but I think Canelo didn't have the greatest performance that night. But credit Ryder. He had a great performance that night. But now he's got a few more miles since then on his odometer, the journeyman. And sometimes you never know when those miles start to show. And I think they're starting to show a little bit. And also the size and just the strength of Munguia. He's a big, strong guy. He's a good body puncher besides, being a good, strong puncher to the head. He's a guy, when he was first coming up, just a big, raw guy. He reminded me of a middleweight version of George Foreman, so to speak. And very raw, very great. And he's still raw, but he's getting better. And I've said that. I said it in the preview last week, Ken. He's getting better. He's improving. A lot of people don't see. He is. He had a tough fight with Derenchenko, but he wound up going through the fire and then getting to Derenchenko when he needed to at the end with body work, and just he shows a great chin, great heart. I mean, just that great Mexican spirit and fortitude and just national pride that so many of the great Mexican fighters have, with that great history that they know every time they get in a ring that they're representing that means something. It means something. And Munguia shows that. He, like I said, he's still raw. They brought in a new trainer, Fred Roach. Give him some credit, but I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't have made the change, but it's not a bad change, Fred Roach. But I thought he was improving. They had him before that with Eric Morales, the former champion, great Mexican champion, great champion, period. They had him with him. They switched to Roach now. I thought he was progressing. He's a work in progress. Again, it sounds funny to say a work in progress for a guy 43-0 now, but he is. And I'm going to do something that doesn't get done too often anymore. I'm going to credit Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy. I am. Because when they need to be knocked, they get knocked. But when they need to be credited, they should get credit. They've done a good job, a hell of a job, developing this guy, because he was raw. And they could have put him in too soon. They could have made a mistake. You could also say, oh, yeah, they built this record as garbage. You could say all that. Meanwhile, he's won world titles. He's made money. And he's in line now maybe for a mega fight with an iconic fighter now, right? Like Canelo. It's possible he has put himself in line for a mega fight, for one of those big fights. And again, they did it. They navigated it. De La Hoya and Golden Boy, they navigated it. They could have. This is a guy, if you made a mistake and thought, oh, I have a big guy, he's got a great chin, he can punch, I'll put him in. You could have got a loss real quick. He's got flaws. Everyone does. But he had that many flaws. He was that green. So they built around his strength. They knew what to do, and they also knew what not to do. Sometimes it's more important to know what not to do. They knew what not to do with him. I credit De La Hoya. They've done a good job to get him to where they got him to. And he's still got flaws. Maybe Rhodes can help a little bit again. I thought he was developing in those areas. I really did. But that's their choice. Okay. I think, to answer your question again, Ken, I think it was a combination of Ryder being a journeyman, more miles, on that car, getting a little bit worn. He looked a little worn as the fight went on. He looked a little worn. But give credit, Munguia did what he had to do. I would say that Munguia, I like the way, I had said last week that he had options how to go in this fight. Ryder had no options. What I meant by that was Ryder had to fight inside. He's a short, stocky guy. He's got to fight inside. He's got 6 losses now. He's got 7 losses. He has to fight inside. Munguia's a long guy. He's got long arms. He's tall. He's got that size, that skeleton. He's moved up already a few weight classes. He has the option to fight outside, get full extension on his punches, or go inside. And I thought he could do either. I thought he could go into the home territory of Ryder, into the turf of Ryder on the inside, into Ryder's wheelhouse, so to speak, and get the better there too. And he did. And he also did on the outside. I thought he was better suited on the outside with his jab and straight right hand, the southpaw killer, because Ryder's a southpaw. I thought that showed in the second round when he scored a knockdown with a nice jab, nice straight right hand, scored a knockdown with Ryder. Ryder survived it. Ryder had some rounds. He came back. I think it was the 7th round. He had a good round. He came back, but he was getting worn for the most part. Between the jab and the right hand of Munguia, the body work every once in a while, he was getting worn down. I will put this warning out there, and a buyer beware. Yeah, buyer beware with the Munguia. He is vulnerable. He got hit jabs by Ryder, clean jabs. He got hit. This is what worries me. When he steps up, and that time's coming. It's coming now. You're 43-0. It's time. It's time. Now he's at that place, right, where the big guys are there waiting now. The big fellas are there waiting now. And maybe we take a little quick peek at those fights that are waiting now. One of them is Canelo, the Golden Goose, the guy that you get that you can retire. I mean, to a certain extent, right? You get paid that kind of money. There's also a couple other guys there. And I want to go over the other guys that are there. Obvious Benavidez at 168 pounds, right?
Your guy, David Morrell.
Yeah. He's 9-0 with 8 knockouts. And he's right up there. As
Morrell's 10-0 at 9 knockouts.
10-0, I thought he was 9-0. But he was the great amateur. He's won a world title in a short period of time, right? And
yep.
I have him. I'm trying to find the other guys that are there, but I have him as a top guy. Morrell, dangerous, good puncher. I think he's special, Morrell. I do. I know he hasn't fought anybody yet, but his amateur pedigree tells you that he's the real deal. Tells me. And if people say, "Oh, you're jumping too soon," well, I didn't jump too soon when I said Lomachenko in his second pro fight, and he won a world title very early, just like Morrell, just like Rigondeaux, just like Inoue. There's special guys, and I think he's on that path of those guys who have won titles, Morrell, who have won titles really early for a reason. And when I said Lomachenko, I think it was after the second pro fight, I put him in my top 10 pound for pound list with ESPN. Everybody was attacking me. Come on, you can't do that. Why? I did it. I just did it. Well, yeah, but Teddy, he's got 2 pro fights. You can't make him a pound for pound. Yeah, I did. Because I trust my eyes. I trust my 50 years in the business. I trust my instincts. I trust my judgment. And that judgment, all those things, tells me he's gonna be a pound for pound guy, and he belongs there. And sure enough, it got proven out okay, But I was taking a little bit of heat at the beginning. So the fights now I don't think, Morrell, as I said, very dangerous. I think he's real. You got Benavidez, he is real. We know that. Not just because his record, but because of the guys that he's beaten on that record already. You got Canelo. Of course, he's real. He's what he is. Those are some of the top guys. Of course, you got Plant, who's up there too. And you got this guy Mbilli, Mbilli. I'm looking for my notes, but I believe I'm spelling it right. I don't know how the...
Christian Mbilli, Mbilli.
Yeah, I really like
26-0, 22 knockouts.
Yeah, but I like him. I'll tell you. Not because his record. The record means something or it could mean nothing. For me, it's because of what he is, what I believe he is. Just like what I said about Lomachenko, at an early point. What I thought and believed that he was. Mbilli, what he is he is a nightmare to fight. You get to fight him, you're getting an invitation to visit hell. Yeah. Yeah, he's one of my favorite fighters now. With Matias, the lightweight, and a couple other guys. He is one of my favorite fighters to watch. And I want to see him get a shot somewhere. This guy is a short, strong, 168-pound guy who's very physical, very determined, very relentless, obviously very aggressive, relentless. He's a bigger version of one of the greatest fighters of all time. I'm not saying he'll ever be anything near this guy because we don't know. He's got a lot of road to still plow. We have no idea. He hasn't fought those guys. But my favorite fight of all time, or one of my top 2 or 3, everyone knows it, Henry Armstrong. Homicide Hank. Had close to, over 255, whatever it was. Probably 115 knockouts, whatever. But won full titles, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. And then he went and he went and defended them simultaneously in like 2-3 month period. And then he really won the middleweight title against Severino Garcia, but they robbed him. They made it a 15-round draw. So the guy, I know that he'll ever get in the shadow of the great Henry Armstrong, but he reminds me of him, his style, his purpose, his attitude. He gets inside, he puts his head on your chest, and he punches, and he moves you backwards, and he don't freaking stop. And like I said, he's strong. He goes to the body, he goes to the head. He's a cyclone. He's a rain machine. He is a rain machine. The only thing is that he rains punches. And he just pours them on you. And I love to watch him. I love to watch him now at this point in his career. It's time for him to step up too. I'd love to watch him in a real consequential fight. And that would be a consequential fight. So right now, for me, for the fans out there, that's Munguia's at a place where, you get the Canelo fight, good. Do I think he's ready to beat those guys yet? No.